This is Cha Games, and we are in EMU-VR today. It's a little bit different than the normal stuff that I do because I wanted to show off this really cool childhood nostalgia simulator. You can see in my little custom bedroom here, I have a whole bunch of custom textures and things like that because this is really an amalgamation of like the 10 different places I actually lived as a kid. I remember ugly ceilings like this and terrible 70s wall paneling. God, that was awful. And wrestling posters on the wall, a random poster from Oblivion. And of course, we have all our game consoles here lined up and just taking the utmost care. And a light gun. Which doesn't actually serve any purpose other than decorative, because if you play a game with a light gun, it'll just spawn into your hand anyway. Alright. So let's look at these console models first. You can see the Nintendo 64, fantastic detail put into that thing. You can even see scuffs on it. Like, that's just nuts to me. GameCube, same thing. Look at it in the light there. It looks like a real GameCube. Like, look at the scuffs. The detail on these things are nuts. PlayStation 2. I wonder if we can... This would be really cool. All right. Yeah, I didn't think so. I was wondering if we set it up on the side. Oh my gosh, it does do it. That's awesome. And of course, our PlayStation 1. Hold it into the light. You can still see the scuffs and just the realistic textures on it. Just awesome. Look at that. We are in VR right now. That is not real. That is a reflection on your old school 90s CRT TV. You can see kind of the wear and tear on this thing, just like it probably would have been when you were growing up. And let's take a look at some of just the random crap you can kind of spawn in here. Bag of chips. Reese's Bites. Shake up a can of soda. Cheetos Paws. Peanut M&Ms, otherwise known as the worst M&Ms. Teeny tiny Snickers bar. Milky Way. And of course, our flashlight. Then let's take a look at our menu here, see all of our options. So we have our game systems here. We can spawn all sorts of different TVs in here from different eras, from the 70s to the 90s to the 80s. We have our games here. Some games I have labels for, some I didn't. I basically just ran out of Steam looking for labels for some of these games. And then, our objects here. We can have a phone. You just pretty much open the label up, pick it up. You know, you want a baseball? Pretty cool. You want a knife that you're not going to clean up? Just like growing up. This room is still much nicer than anything I would have kept as a kid. Spoiled milk. Juice box. Plate. 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 Pizza box. Pizza box. Crappy radio. Chair. Okay. You get the point. Now let's pull out some of our discs as we want to play a couple games, right? Let's make sure we carefully organize everything while we're doing this. Perfect. Nailed it. All right. N64. We got Perfect Dark. Super Mario 64. Smash Bros. GoldenEye without the label. Have Final Fantasy VII, only disc 3. Oddworld. 2 Oddworlds, sure. Spyro the Dragon. Ripto's Rage. That one went behind the TV. We'll find it in 10 years. And then Sega Saturn. Okay, so one thing, if the console system isn't fully modeled yet, it'll just kind of be a default cartridge console. So Sega Saturn isn't fully modeled in here, so it's actually Sega Saturn Cartridge Edition. Just fine. There we go. Now all our games are out and perfectly organized, just like I would have done if I was a kid. So let's take a look. What do we want to play first? I want to play some Spyro. Plug that in. Okay, so to get it to work, you basically got to put your hand on the back near the power supply, plug it into the TV or vice versa. There we go. So there's our PlayStation. We want to turn our TV on. We need to find a PlayStation game. What do we got? What do we got? Where did all my Spyro games go? Here we go. Spyro the Dragon, Year of the Dragon, the best Spyro. Somebody tried to argue Ripto's Rage was better than Spyro the Dragon. Strong disagree. All right, you put your game in, close it up, power it on, wait for it. Okay, so basically you point at the TV and you hit one of the buttons and it locks you in so that you are now controlling the game. There are default control schemes with your Oculus controllers where you can basically just work with that to play the game. You can also set up a gamepad. So this all runs, the game emulation is actually done through RetroArch, which you do have to set up. All right, let's play. And then it's really just a matter of figuring out the controls. And this I'm already pretty much on. Look at that. That looks great. Feels great. One thing hopefully we'll see in the future is maybe some digital controllers in here. Click on that, gets you out of there. All right, so we're done with our PlayStation. Let's just bye-bye. Just the utmost care we take of our things. All right, so I've already got Virtual Cop 2. Let's turn the lights back on. I've already got Virtual Cop 2 in here. Let's go. Virtual Cop 2 or Virtual Cop 1? Virtual Cop 1. There we go. So let's turn on our knockoff Sega Saturn. Turn the lights off here. Point at the TV and nope. Lock it. There we go. All right. So when you set it up correctly, you can play each system with a light gun if you'd want to. So the Sega Saturn had a lot of really cool arcade ports. So we want to take advantage of that. Now, one thing I never had growing up is I never had a light gun for my Sega Saturn. I got one in 1996. So by the time I was really into the Saturn, it was already coming off the shelves. And I don't ever recall even seeing a light gun in stores. I was also 6 years old, so it's not like I had full control of the purchases anyway. So I never really got to play any of these games with a light gun. Now I don't have any CRT TVs, and these light guns don't work without a CRT. So this is probably the next best thing right here. I played the crap out of Virtual Cop with a D-pad, though. All right. Let's go with the expert stage. So I don't know if this will increase like how quick I can shoot, but it should keep me linked to player one, only player one. Are we ready? Sideways. Break out of this. There we go. And turn our lights back on. Turn our lights back on. And yeah, really cool. Just very cool. You can set this up. You can organize things however you want or don't want, you know. I still think the PlayStation logo spinning is the coolest thing. Just a cool little feature, you know. We got to just store these away so mom doesn't yell at us later. You know, your games are all over the floor. There we go. Perfect. And in the eyes of like a 11-year-old boy, this is clean. This is just beautiful. Like, this is immaculate.